Greetings, podsters and podlars, and welcome to Cazza and Tracy talk Gavin and Stacey. I'm Tracey.
And I'm Caroline, aka Cazza.
And we're friends who, like Gavin and Stacey, met online in the noughties. We connected over small humour, over how life is funny in the minutiae of things, and we also found that we like to read and watch many of the same things. And one of those things was Gavin and Stacey, which is a show that also celebrates small humour, as well as kindness and bluster, and people being magnificently themselves in all their flawed glory. And now that the show is having its one last hurrah with a final Christmas special, we thought we'd rewatch it all, remind ourselves why we loved it, and find out whether we still do. Hello, Caroline.
Hey, Tracey.
Well, this is exciting, isn't it? The first episode of our new podcast series.
Yeah.
I am very excited to get started with this rewatch of one of my favourite ever shows.
Yeah, what a great topic.
Yep.
And it has been a lot of fun going back and watching it. Yep. And side note, just recently I introduced my sister to it. She had somehow never seen it. And that was also a really good feeling. Like she was just going, oh my God, this show is the best. And I'm going, yes, it's the best.
Yeah. I can't believe your sister hadn't been roped into it already. So I thought I'll give a little quick intro for people so they know what we're doing, that in the lead up to the new Christmas special, we're rewatching each of the episodes, then coming together each week to talk about what we've seen and what we think. And each week, I'll give a little précis of the show, and we will call that Tracy's précis. Thank you very much for that. That nifty little name you thought up there. And then we've got a few little themes that we'll be looking out for while we watch, like our favourite jokes or scenes. And one thing we'll be looking out for is whether there are any moments that we think haven't really stood the test of time, whether it's because they're dated references that don't have any relevance, or whether it's jokes or storylines that aren't quite right anymore, or whether it's those kinds of things that just generally make us cringe. But what we'll especially be looking out for are the moments of magic that made us fall in love with Gavin and Stacey and everyone around them the first time round. Before we get too far into it, though, I wanted to ask you what you remember about the first time you watched Gavin and Stacey. Do you think you watched it from the beginning, or did you come to it later? Were you watching it on TV, a box set? What do you remember?
So what I think is that I saw one or two episodes. I can't remember, did it screen on SBS in Australia? It was probably SBS or ABC, and I would have caught one or two and gone, this is fantastic. And then because that was the person I was, I would have gone to JB Hi-Fi and ordered the box set. And I think I've got the full 3 in 1, so that must mean I came to it fairly late. But maybe I just got one DVD and then decided, you know what, I'll get the box set, because I'm also that person. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I don't think I watched the first series first. And so this was around the time also that I was moving to Abu Dhabi from Adelaide. And I remember clearly seeing 1 or 2 episodes on cable TV in Abu Dhabi, and the rest I have watched on the box set. So yeah, again, it wasn't something I was waiting for week by week. I think I had definitely seen the second series before I saw the first series. But do you know what I really remember really clearly is how deeply grateful I was for this gem of a show, because I just had so much. They were really difficult years for me, not just the move, but, you know, a lot was going on in my life. And the joy that they took in being with each other, not just Gavin and Stacey, but all of them all around, it was actually a tonic for me. I just remember being carried away by the joyousness of it.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the best things about it.
All right, well, let's get started into this first episode, and I'm going to get started with Tracy's précis. But before I do, I thought I'd better just let people know that in this and every episode of Cazza and Tracy talk Gavin and Stacey, we've got massive spoilers. So we're assuming, I guess, that anybody who's listening has already watched it. And also, I don't know, I mean, it's been available since 2007, so I feel like, you know.
Yeah, that's on you, not on us.
Yeah. And if we had any intel about the Christmas special, we wouldn't give that away, but I don't have any intel on that, do you? No.
It's closely guarded, but we're going to speculate maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got a bit of speculation. All right, so this first episode, season 1, episode 1, is very much a scene-setting episode. So for this Tracey, I am going to mention most of the scenes, but I'll try to be more brief in future episodes. So the opening moments of this show are ringing with the sound of Stacey's laughter, and this really sets the scene for the whole series. Gavin and Stacey are each in their respective workplaces, Gavin in Essex, Stacey in Wales, sitting at their desks, and they're on the phone together talking and laughing. We learn that after 6 months of talking on the phone, they have plans to meet in person in London. We see Stacey arriving home after work, getting off the bus in her street, meeting her neighbour Doris, who gives her a bit of somewhat saucy advice for Stacey's upcoming blind date. Stacey goes inside to say hello to her mum, Gwen. We are introduced to the delights of Gwen's omelettes. Cut to Essex, where Gavin is just getting home. He's on the phone to his friend Smithy, and we meet Gavin's mother, Ham. She's been on the couch with iPads on. She's been watching the badgers on the television, and she's seen a baby badger crying. Cut back to Wales, and we meet Stacey's friend Nessa, who will be going with Stacey on the trip to London. She packs extremely lightly, something she is able to do through economies such as tic-tacs instead of a toothbrush. Meanwhile, over in Essex, Gavin's dad Mick is home, and it's dinner time. Pam is on a diet, and her dinner is 3 steaks. This is a scene I'm pretty sure we're going to explore later in this episode. In comes Gavin's friend Smithy, greeted with delight by Gavin's parents. And in a conversation between Gavin and Smithy discussing the upcoming date in London, we learn that Smithy has a girlfriend, Lucy, who is 17 and a half. Meanwhile, in Wales, Stacey's uncle Bryn arrives from his house over the road with a rape alarm he's bought for Stacey to take on her date in London. There's a somewhat protracted scene with Bryn teaching Stacey how to use the alarm. We get our first glimpse of the depths and complexities of Nessa's character. It's time for Gavin and Stacey to travel to London, accompanied by their friends Smithy and Nessa. Smithy still reluctant for the date and with very low expectations of Nessa. The 4 meet at the fountain, Gavin and Stacey immediately smitten. They all go to a bar and begin some serious day drinking. Gavin and Stacey get closer while Smithy and Nessa bond over their deep interest in beer and cigarettes. The drinking session over, they all go back to the hotel where Stacey and Nessa are staying. There are some liaisons, with Gavin slightly squeamish about sharing the room, so Nessa and Smithy are in the bathroom. In the morning, Stacey and Nessa leave the room quietly while Gavin and Smithy are still asleep. Gavin wakes up, then makes Smithy get up, and they race to the bus so that Gavin can say a proper goodbye to Stacey. The bus leaves for Wales, but as Gavin watches the bus leave, he is overcome, quickly catches a cab to his home so he can be there, ready and waiting when the bus makes its place to Barry, Wales. Stacey gets off the bus and they declare their love for each other. So it gets off to a cracking start, and with absolutely no will they or won't they. But what's in this episode for you?
Balls out is the wrong terminology to use here, but it's just people going for it, saying what they think. There's a lot of television where the women are sort of the sensible, neurotic ones, and the kept. They're withheld. And I think that in Gavin and Stacey, one of the best things about it is that there's these women characters, Pam, you meet Pam for the first time and she's just having all her feelings and all her quirks and loving everyone around her. There's Stacey with her joyous approach to life and sort of this openness to experience, and Nessa who's, we might talk later on in the series about her extensive CV and how big a life she's lived. So I think that was kind of a little bit new for television, I think, at that time. And it's so funny. And as you say, it's just beautiful that there's you just know Gavin and Stacey are it. And what's actually interesting is what's happening with the other characters around them and that. How about you?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of scene setting. It's really, we get a lot of foreshadowing of a lot of storylines to come that we don't necessarily recognise as that. But what I love about it is, at the core of it, is the pretty simple, fairly pure love that Gavin and Stacey have for each other. And this is really contrasted by the more complex relationship that Nessa and Smithy share right from the beginning. But yeah, I was just really struck by how what's at the centre of it is just this very pure, joyous love between two young people.
Yes. And that stays rock solid the whole way through. That's never the drama point of Gavin and Stacey. And it does have a lot of drama points.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about how the series is facing the test of time, I guess the first episode really has to hold up. So how did you feel about it looking through your 2024 eyes?
Look, I do think it holds up. I think there's a couple of parts that you think, oh, that's problematic. The underage girlfriend is going to be a massive problem. Any time it comes up, I feel really, this grooming and it's never talked about. And then there's a lot of heavy drinking and smoking and lots of cigarettes on camera. And it's funny how much you adapt to people not smoking anymore. Like anytime I see it on camera now, I'm like, whoa, we used to do that. So they were the main ones for me, but I actually think it stands up.
Yeah, I agree. The smoking is really jarring.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if our laws about smoking on screen because it's 2007, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it had changed. But, there's a lot of, I had really taking great joy in their smoking. It's not like just some incidental thing. So, so it's a bit jarring. But, I mean, I'm a bit, that is the truth of it. The underage girlfriend one,
we're never going to feel better about that.
No.
And it's milk. The thing is that it's milked as a joke rather than.
Yeah.
And I guess that everyone kind of knows it's slightly problematic, but I think that most people see the problem is that she can't come out and do things with Smithy because she's always at a Girl Guides camp or a gymkhana or something like that.
Yeah.
You never actually ever meet this girlfriend.
No. And then, look, I'm a little bit, rape jokes for me are a little bit problematic. The thing with the alarm, it's not necessarily a rape joke, it's a bring joke. And I do like the way it's an opportunity for Nessa to show us that she is unapologetically fierce. But I'll never be good with rape jokes.
No, me either. So the famous line in that is Bryn says, if I get you a rape alarm and you're raped, then I'm not responsible.
Yeah, but come Sunday, I'll be...
Like you say, it is a Bryn joke, but there is that it's not nice.
Yeah. But apart from that, I think what you said before about kind of showing those women kind of just in all their glory actually is a really interesting thing from that time. And we've got a bit more used to it now, but I think probably at the time it might be one of the things that, because I wasn't really into like Sex and the City and stuff.
No, so I hate watch Sex and the City, but my favourite character is always Samantha because she's just there, enjoying herself and saying what she's doing and not being sort of
coy
about it, feeling guilty for enjoying herself. So in Friends, I always liked Phoebe the best because she was the one who just was unapologetic about this is me and I'm going to enjoy my life. But I think that all the women in Gavin and Stacey are like that, even down to Stacey's elderly neighbour Doris.
Well, particularly.
Yeah. But, Stacey's mother comes up with a few surprise revelations. Pam and Mick are just flagrantly still really into each other.
Yep.
Their friends, Pam and Mick's friends, Dawn and Pete, are also having a sex life of sorts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or trying to, yeah.
So, and I think it was unusual.
Yeah. So do you think there is anything more about the characters? Because, we've talked a lot about character development. Do you think there's other stuff about character development in here, given that's one of the things we love about the whole show?
Well, I think Pam was set up so beautifully in this. I think we see more of Mick because, the more the series went on, the more that my favourite characters were Pam and Mick.
Yeah.
I just love them both. And I think that when it first gets set up, we're not really seeing the true Mick, which comes later, who's just magnificent. But we do see a lot of magnificent Pam. So the fact that she's watching a documentary about a badger mum and just lying there crying about it was one of the most glorious introductions to a character I think I've ever seen. You just instantly go, oh, my God, she's hilarious, but I also love her. And then she has her whole dieting thing and talking about, don't you tell your friends about this because I know what happened when I had that UTI.
Yeah.
She's just such a fantastic character, and I think she is really. But we also see Bryn and his crazy. I don't even know how you describe Bryn.
It's kind of naivety, right?
His naivety, right? Yeah, and then also Nessa, because Nessa's one of the great characters as well.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, we haven't talked about Smithy really, because he's a large character, and the fact that he's going in with one attitude to his encounter with the whole meeting Stacey and all that sort of thing, and coming out of it having his mind blown, but also horizons expanded by Nessa.
Yeah.
And his way of dealing with it.
I feel like we don't he's maybe not as fully formed in this episode yet as some of the others, but I do feel what I do really like about it is how everyone takes everyone at face value. So they obviously are all pretty flawed in different ways, but we're kind of introduced to each of the characters through the eyes of other characters in a lot of ways because, obviously we're seeing them interacting. And I think that we immediately feel a real fondness for them all because they're all so fond of each other.
Yeah.
And I know that in later episodes, there's a couple of them I really start to have judgments about. But in this episode, I just really liked them all and just really wanted to get to know them.
Yeah.
And was looking forward to kind of time spent with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just occurred to me now is that the one character who I think is not flawed in the whole series the whole time, well, maybe there's two because Gwen is fine, is Gavin.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we ever see a Gavin flaw. He's just always just so lovely.
Yeah, he's pretty straight up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's almost the filter through which we see some of the others.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So his little reactions to
his side eyes and stuff are very, Yep. And they're very subtle.
And he's always polite about it too.
Yeah.
He's not walking around going, "Oh my God."
No.
He's just you read it in his face, and then
it goes
on with his relationship with them. But
yeah. So this is a little bit related because one of the things that we've always talked about together is how much we love the tenderness and the care in this show and the many loving heart moments that there are. So was there anything in this episode that really stood out for you?
Look, the major heart moment is that Gavin and Stacey can declare their love for each other so quickly after meeting in real life. And you just know that that's how they feel. So there's that line where Gavin obviously wants to say, I love you, and is struggling with that, but I literally have met her once.
Yep.
And Stacey looks at him and says, if you say it, I'll say it back.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
It is. I actually got something from this that I had never got before from this rewatch, and I wouldn't have noticed it the first time, but I love the way that it's Stacey's laugh that opens the whole series. It's the very first thing we hear, and it's such a pitch perfect opening, and it's one of those things that when you're watching, you wouldn't know, you just sort of subconsciously take on board, but I think it's such a clever piece of writing to start with that because it's sort of her joyousness, that piece of joyousness is something that's really at the heart of the whole series.
Yeah,
and
true.
Yeah. So I loved that. So I guess that's something about rewatching things, isn't it? That you go, that's so good.
It kind of does it almost finish it too, because her reaction
it does,
as hugging Gav is that she's just laughing with joy.
Of course,
hug at the end.
Yeah, when she jumps up into him. Yeah. Yeah. So what was your favourite joke or line or scene?
Okay, well,
I mean, there's a couple of good ones.
Yeah. I think it's Pam all the way for me. I just adore her. He says, Mum, I'm pretty sure badgers can't cry. She says, neither did I, my little prince.
Yep.
But but there she was. But also there's just, when she's talking about her dieting and how she's trying to lose weight, she just throws this line Nick's way, which is, I can't do the cabbage soup because his lordship doesn't like the smell. And, for me, probably cabbage soup does smell, but in my mind, I'm going, it's the byproducts of the cabbage soup that I think are probably
way worse.
Yeah, no, it's Pam all the way for me in this first episode. How about you?
Yeah, me. And that scene where she's having her steaks and she says, so I've got, because she's on the Atkins diet, so she can't have carbs, so she's got 3 steaks. One as her actual steak, one as her potatoes, and one as her peas. It's outstanding. And her reactions, and she's just such a well-formed character, and she's right in it right from the start.
Yeah. I love Pam so much.
Yeah, me too. So when we were first talking about the podcast, I had this idea that we'd ask each other a quiz question and we'd see who got the most right. And I'm not sure why I suggested this, because you are very good at quizzes and I've never won anything against you, not any kind of word game at all. But anyway, did you think of a question to ask me?
Yes. Can you remember the name of Stacey's employer?
No, I can't. No, can't remember.
I think it's a slightly smutty name, which is probably why they gave it, but it's Bedmore.
Oh, that's right.
Bedmore Electronic.
Yeah, I had the M. So I've got my question, but I can't remember the answer now. What age is Stacey planning to give up smoking?
I think she's going to start giving up at, is it 28 and be fully given up at 30?
Well, that's what I've got in my mind. There was definitely yeah. So she's got it all planned out.
I reckon that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now we have to check it. It's good to have a plan.
Yeah. And also I think you get more points for that because you did at least remember the order of things there. All right. Well, that is episode 1 and it is off to a cracking start. I'm really looking forward to episode 2 because I do think I remember that episode a lot more clearly than I remembered episode 1. So talk to you next week about it. All right?
Love.
Okay.